The forest slept beneath a sky of silver fog, vast, eternal, and breathing with secrets that mortals had long forgotten. Pines rose like cathedral spires, their tops lost in the haze, their roots tangled in the bones of old gods. The moon hung low, pale as a dying ember, and in its light the world looked neither alive nor dead, merely waiting. Evelyn had walked 3 nights without seeing a single soul. Her boots were soaked, her lantern flickering weakly against the whispering wind. Every gust carried the scent of something feral, musk, blood, and the faint sweetness of decay. The villagers had warned her about this place. Never enter the howling woods after sundown, they had said. That's when he walks, the one who was once a man, and now hungers for what he can never love. She didn't believe in stories. Not until tonight. The deeper she went, the more the trees seemed to close around her, their branches twisting into shapes that mimicked faces, watching, listening. Somewhere far ahead, a long, low growl rolled through the mist. It wasn't a mere animal sound. It carried sorrow, deep, human sorrow, as though the earth itself grieved through a beast's throat. Evelyn's hand tightened on her lantern. "I know you're there," she whispered. The forest answered with silence. Then, a whisper of movement, something vast and heavy, circling her from beyond sight. Her breath misted. The wind had stopped entirely. Even the trees held still. A single red ember appeared in the fog, an eye. Then another. The creature stepped forward, slow, deliberate. It towered above her, half shadow, half nightmare. Fur black as pitch, eyes glowing faintly crimson, its body broad and sinewed like a god of old vengeance. But what froze her blood wasn't its size or its claws, it was the sadness in its gaze. A creature that had once been human. "Do you know my name?" the beast growled, voice deep as thunder over frozen lakes. Evelyn couldn't answer. Her lips trembled, yet her fear was tempered by something else, pity. "I was called Aldrich," the beast said, stepping closer, the ground shivering beneath him. "Once a guardian of this forest. Now its curse." His claws brushed against the trunk beside her, not to harm, but to remind her of what power looked like when chained by regret. "What cursed you?" she managed to ask. "The moon," he said, glancing up. "And love." He turned his face, and the moonlight revealed the faint outline of a man beneath the beast, the shadow of cheekbones, the glint of sorrow in his half-human eyes. "They burned her," Aldrich whispered, voice shaking like dying embers. "The witch who loved me. The forest took her ashes and gave me this form. Now, I guard her soul. Every night, I hear her calling beneath the roots. Every night, I fail to find her." Evelyn's heart clenched. Her fingers brushed the edge of his fur, rough, yet warm, alive. For a moment, the forest seemed to sigh, as if relieved by her touch. "You're not meant to be feared," she murmured. "You're meant to be freed." At that, the beast's eyes widened, as though the word freed was one he had forgotten existed. He leaned closer, his breath a gust of frost and pine. "Be careful what you seek, human," he warned softly. "This forest listens. It remembers. And if it decides you belong here." His words drifted off as the fog thickened. The light of her lantern dimmed until only his eyes were visible, twin stars bleeding red in the dark. Then, a distant sound echoed through the trees, a woman's cry, faint, melodic, trapped somewhere deep below the roots. Aldrich's head jerked up, every muscle tensing. "She calls again," he whispered. And before Evelyn could speak, The beast turned and vanished into the mist, nothing left but the faint echo of claws on frozen earth. The forest fell silent once more, but Evelyn felt the truth bloom within her chest like fire through ice. The witch's soul was real, and this cursed beast's agony had become her path. She took a trembling breath, clutching the pendant at her neck, the one she had found buried in her mother's old chest, marked with the same symbol carved on the trees here, a wolf's head encircled by moonlight. Fate, it seemed, had already chosen her. As the night deepened and the fog thickened into something alive, Evelyn knew the hunt had begun, not of predator and prey, but of two souls searching through death, love, and curse to find each other again. The forest whispered her name then, softly, lovingly, almost human, and the howling began. The moon had thinned to a cold crescent by the time Evelyn reached the center of the woods. The air had changed, heavier, filled with the scent of old smoke and something iron-sweet that clung to her breath. Her lantern had gone out hours ago, yet a faint reddish glow pulsed through the fog, guiding her as though the forest itself desired her to continue. She followed it until she reached a clearing. The trees bent inward here, their black trunks forming arches over a circle of stone. In the center rose an altar made from roots, bones, and blackened vines that still wept sap like blood. The glow came from within those roots, a pulsing light that throbbed like a heartbeat. Evelyn froze. There was someone kneeling beside the altar, massive, motionless. The beast. Aldrich's fur was streaked with ash and frost. His claws pressed into the frozen ground, his breath shallow and ragged. Around him, the fog spiraled like a living thing, whispering words in an ancient tongue. As Evelyn stepped closer, the glow brightened, reacting to her presence. He turned slowly, his eyes a storm of pain and warning. "You shouldn't have come," he said. His voice was rougher tonight, less human, more thunder than thought. "I had to," Evelyn whispered. "You said she calls to you." "I heard her too." Aldrich's gaze softened. His beastly form shifted slightly in the red haze. His shoulders trembled. His claws sank deeper into the earth. "The forest shows mercy to no one. You hear her because she wants you. You are her blood." Evelyn's heartbeat stumbled. Her blood. He nodded once. "The witch who loved me was called Lysara. Her bloodline vanished after her death. Until you." The world seemed to tilt. Evelyn's thoughts scattered like snowflakes in the wind. She wanted to deny it, yet deep down, it made sense. The pendant she wore, the way the forest whispered her name, the dreams she'd been having since childhood, a woman's voice calling her beneath moonlight, always from within a forest she had never seen before. "She wants me to break your curse," Evelyn murmured. Aldrich's lips curled into something between a snarl and a smile. "If it were that simple, I'd have torn my own heart out centuries ago." He turned to the altar. The roots shifted, opening like skeletal fingers. Inside, Evelyn saw a faint shimmer, a woman's silhouette made of ashes and light. The figure's hair floated around her face as if underwater, her lips moving soundlessly. "Lysara." The beast breathed, dropping to one knee. "I have failed again." The air trembled. The spectral figure raised her hand, reaching toward him. But as her fingers touched the air near his fur, they disintegrated into sparks. The forest howled, the same haunting sound Evelyn had heard the night before. Evelyn stepped forward instinctively. "Wait, let me try." She reached toward the apparition. Her fingers brushed the red mist, and the entire clearing pulsed with light. The altar shook. The trees shuddered as snow fell from their branches in a silver storm. Aldrich surged forward. "No, you'll wake it." But it was too late. The ground split open beneath the altar, and a wind colder than death itself screamed from below. Out of the fissure crawled shadows, thin, writhing, clawed things made of black mist. Their voices were shrill and wet, whispering the same phrase again and again. "Blood must bind what love has broken." Evelyn stumbled back as one of them reached toward her, its claws dragging through the air like knives through silk. Aldrich roared and leapt between her and the creature. His claws tore through shadow, splitting it apart with a burst of red light. "You woke the guardians," he growled, chest heaving. "They were placed to protect her soul, to stop anyone from freeing me. But they attacked you too," Evelyn said, her voice shaking. "Because I no longer belong to her world," he murmured. For a long moment, they stood in silence. The light from the altar dimmed to a flicker. Snow drifted through the clearing like ashes. Then Aldrich looked at her, really looked at her, as if seeing something he had feared to hope for. "There is one way," he said, "but it demands blood, not mine." Evelyn's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "You carry her essence," he said. "Only the blood of her descendant can unbind what the forest sealed. But it comes at a cost. Once begun, the ritual binds us, beast and witch, until death. Your soul will be tethered to mine. You will feel what I feel, see what I see. And when the moon is full, you will change as I do." His voice was low, dangerous, but laced with longing. Evelyn met his gaze. There was fear there, not of her, but for her. And something else, a tenderness buried beneath centuries of rage. "What if that's the only way to save you?" she said softly. The beast's chest rose, and his claws flexed as though fighting something inside him. He lowered his head until their faces were inches apart, his breath misting against her cheek. "Then you damn yourself beside me." Evelyn didn't flinch. "Maybe that's what I was born for." Aldrich's eyes flickered between gold and red. "You don't understand what I become beneath the full moon." "Show me," she whispered. The air between them thickened with something primal, not just fear, not just hunger. The forest seemed to pulse in rhythm with their hearts. Snow melted where they stood, steam rising from the ground as if the world held its breath. Then, from deep within the fissure, a voice like whined through dead leaves whispered, "The bond is chosen. The blood will awaken." The altar flared crimson. Evelyn cried out as the pendant at her neck glowed white-hot, searing into her skin. Aldrich caught her before she fell, his massive arms trembling as light and shadow twisted around them both. The forest roared. The mist became flame. And as her blood touched his fur, a mark appeared, the same rune that had cursed him centuries ago, now burning on both their chests. When the light faded, the forest had gone utterly silent. The fissure had closed. The altar stood still once more. Aldrich knelt beside her, half in shadow, half in moonlight. He looked changed, his form less monstrous, more man than beast. His eyes, though, burned with a new kind of terror. "It's done," he whispered. "We're bound now." Evelyn's fingers trembled as she touched his chest, where the runes still glowed faintly beneath his fur. "Then we face it together." He drew in a slow breath, his voice a low growl of despair and awe. "No one who binds to a beast lives long enough to see the next moon." But Evelyn only smiled, faint and fearless. "Then let's make this one count." The moon rose higher, bleeding red over the forest canopy. The pines began to whisper again, softer now, almost approving. And somewhere deep beneath the roots, the witch's soul sighed with something like relief. The forest never slept after the blood oath. From that night onward, the woods around the altar of roots changed their breathing. The wind moaned through hollow trunks like voices, and the snow shimmered faintly red even beneath a silver moon. The curse had awakened. The forest itself had remembered. Evelyn awoke beside the dying embers of their fire. Her breath curled into the frozen air. Her skin burned where the mark lay, a faint rune pulsing beneath the hollow of her throat. When she brushed her fingers across it, warmth surged through her veins, and she heard it, a heartbeat that wasn't hers. Slow, deep, animal. She turned. Aldrich sat a few feet away, his massive frame wrapped in shadow. He was not entirely wolf tonight. Not entirely man, either. His silhouette rippled with faint movements, muscles shifting beneath a surface that refused to settle, fur flickering in and out of existence like smoke caught between two worlds. He looked over his shoulder at her, eyes catching firelight. "You feel it too." Evelyn nodded. "It's inside me. I can feel your pulse." His jaw tightened. Then the binding has truly begun. A silence settled between them. Only the forest groaned, slow creaks of ancient wood bending under ice. She rose to her feet, wrapping her cloak around her shoulders. The forest around them glowed faintly crimson where the moonlight struck the snow. Somewhere in the distance, something howled, not a wolf, not a man, but something ancient that made her bones ache. "What happens now?" she asked. Aldrich stood, his shadow swallowing hers. "The bond strengthens with every night. Until the full moon, we are two halves of the same curse. What I feel, you feel." He stepped closer. The heat from his body rolled over her, heavy and magnetic. His eyes, golden beneath their darkness, searched hers with something dangerously human. "But the forest will test us. It will make you dream. It will make me hunger." Her lips parted. Hunger for what? He didn't answer. His claws flexed, curling inward as if to restrain himself. She reached out, fingertips brushing the edge of his arm, fur and scarred flesh beneath. The mark on her chest flared like fire. For a heartbeat, their connection became unbearable. The world around them melted into sound and pulse. She saw flashes, his memories, his agony, his centuries of solitude. A castle in flames, a woman burning, a witch screaming his name as chains of silver wrapped around him. Evelyn gasped and stumbled back. "I saw her. Lysara." Aldrich's breathing deepened. He turned away, hiding his face in his clawed hand. "You weren't meant to. She was you," Evelyn whispered. "Or part of you." "No," he growled. "She was what made me. What damned me." The trees shuddered as though responding to his anger. Snow cascaded in spirals from the branches, the ground trembling. Evelyn ran forward and caught his hand, gripping it tight despite the claws. "Then let me help you undo it." He looked down at her, her small, trembling hand against his monstrous palm. Something broke in his expression. For the first time, the beast looked afraid. "I don't know if I remember how to be saved." Her eyes glistened in the red moonlight. "Then I'll remember for both of us." They walked through the night, guided by whispers. The deeper they went, the stranger the forest became. The snow turned to ash. The branches above them grew eyes, faint, shimmering like glass. And beneath their feet, the ground pulsed faintly, like skin over something living. The air smelled of iron and roses. They stopped at a frozen lake. Its surface was smooth and black, reflecting the crimson sky like liquid glass. In its center stood an old ruin, the remains of a tower sunken into the ice. Aldrich's gaze fixed on it. That's where she fell. Evelyn looked up. Lysara. He nodded slowly. The witch's tower. She tried to break my curse there. The gods answered her, but not with mercy. Evelyn's breath came out in a shiver. What did they give her? He turned to her, eyes burning. Me. They crossed the ice. Each step echoed through the silent expanse. The reflection of the moon bled across the lake's surface like a wound opening wider with each breath. Halfway across, the ice groaned beneath them. Evelyn froze. The reflection shifted, no longer showing her and Aldrich, but two shadows entwined, the witch and the beast. Suddenly, the ice cracked. Red light surged upward, and a voice, soft, melodic, and cruel, whispered from below. You took what was mine. The reflection of Lysara rose from the ice, her form made of frost and blood, eyes hollow and endless. Evelyn stumbled back. She's here. Aldrich stepped forward. Lysara, end this. Let me go. Her reflection smiled. You think this curse was mine to break? It was yours to bear. Then she turned her gaze to Evelyn. And now hers. The ice erupted. Clawed hands made of frozen water shot upward, wrapping around Aldrich's legs. Evelyn screamed and ran toward him, but a surge of frost swept across the lake, throwing her back. She slid across the ice, her hands scraping against shards of frozen blood. Run! Aldrich roared. I won't. She rose, the mark on her chest glowing bright. Her pendant flared again, releasing a burst of white-blue fire that struck the frozen claws, shattering them. Aldrich roared, breaking free, the beast within him surging. His form expanded, fur bristling, eyes blazing molten gold. He leapt onto the reflection, claws raking through it, but every strike only made more cracks in the ice. The witch's laughter echoed all around them. Evelyn pressed her hands together, whispering the words that had come to her in dreams. The light inside her mark burst outward, beams of cold fire snaking across the ice, sealing the cracks. The reflection of Lysara screamed, the sound like shattering glass, and then vanished. Silence. The forest exhaled. The air stilled. Only their breaths, harsh and trembling, filled the night. Aldrich sank to his knees, the beast fading slowly from his form. Evelyn approached him carefully. His claws had retracted, his skin burned and bleeding from the cold. She touched his face gently. You saved me. He caught her wrist, his thumb brushing her pulse. No, he said softly. You saved me. Her lips parted to speak, but the mark on both their chests flared again, brighter, hotter. For a moment, they both gasped as one, a single heartbeat between them. The forest around them seemed to sigh, snow melting in a slow circle where they knelt. Aldrich leaned closer, his forehead pressing lightly to hers. Evelyn, he murmured, if this bond consumes you, if I lose control. You won't, she whispered. Not while I still have breath. He closed his eyes. Then pray the moon spares you. Above them, the red crescent swelled, growing fuller, brighter, hungrier. And far in the distance, beyond the forest's edge, something ancient began to stir. The forest changed when dawn tried to rise. Snow no longer looked white. It shimmered faintly red, as though reflecting the pulse beneath the earth. Mist crawled between the trees, thick and slow, whispering in a language Evelyn couldn't understand but could somehow feel beneath her skin. When she woke, Aldrich was gone. Only the warmth of his presence lingered, claw marks in the frost, embers where his breath had burned through the night. The mark on her chest pulsed faintly in rhythm with a heartbeat that wasn't hers. It was distant, deep, fading into the forest. She wrapped her cloak tight and followed it. The path twisted through the woods, the air humming faintly with energy. Every tree seemed to lean inward as she passed, branches heavy with frost that gleamed like veins of blood beneath the rising sun. The deeper she went, the stronger it became, a pull in her chest, a whisper in her mind. Then she saw him. Aldrich knelt by a frozen stream, half in shadow, his body trembling as if the beast inside clawed at its cage. His hands, clawed and cracked, were pressed into the ice, leaving steaming impressions. Aldrich, he turned his head slowly. His eyes were wild, glowing faintly gold and crimson, the light flickering like fire through smoke. "Stay back," he growled, though his voice cracked on the word. Evelyn ignored him. She moved closer, kneeling beside him. His breath came in heavy bursts, mist curling from his lips. "It's the bond," he whispered hoarsely. "It grows faster than I thought." She placed her hand on his arm. His skin burned beneath her touch, but she didn't move away. "What does it mean?" "It means..." His voice faltered. "You'll start to feel it too." "Feel what?" He looked up at her, and in his gaze she saw something that wasn't entirely human anymore. Hunger, pain, and something deeper that pulsed between them like a heartbeat shared. The curse, the hunger, the blood. The mark on her chest flared. She gasped, clutching at her heart. Images flashed before her eyes, claws tearing through shadow, silver chains breaking, the witch's laughter echoing through smoke. And then, warmth. His warmth. Aldrich reached out instinctively, catching her before she fell. Her hands trembled against his chest, feeling the rhythm of his heartbeat. Fierce, chaotic, ancient. "I told you not to come closer," he murmured, but his arms didn't let go. "I told you I wasn't afraid," she said through shaking breath. He stared down at her, snowflakes clinging to her hair, the firelight of dawn reflected in her eyes. For the first time, something like peace crossed his face, though it trembled beneath restraint. "Evelyn," he whispered, "you don't understand what I become when night falls again." "Then let me see," she said. "You'll regret it." "Maybe." Her voice softened. "But I'd rather regret knowing you than die never understanding what you are." A silence stretched, fragile as ice. Then the forest sighed. The wind rose suddenly, swirling snow around them in a slow spiral. The trees creaked. Beneath the frozen stream, the water began to move again, faint ripples catching the crimson light. The forest was waking, watching. Aldrich's eyes closed, his head bowing low. "The moon calls me tonight. If you stay, you'll see what love looks like when cursed by gods." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Then show me what the gods fear." That night, the blood moon rose over the forest like an open wound. The red light bled through the pines, staining the snow crimson. The air trembled. Shadows rippled across the ground as the wind whispered names not meant for living tongues. Evelyn waited in the ruins of an ancient stone circle, the remains of some long-forgotten temple now consumed by roots. She could feel him coming long before she saw him. Every heartbeat echoed through her chest like thunder. Her mark burned. Her veins felt alive with his fire. And then he emerged, not a man, not a wolf, but something that defied both. Massive, fur black as midnight, but shot through with veins of molten gold. Eyes blazing red and sorrowful all at once. His breath came in clouds of flame. He stepped into the clearing, claws gouging the frozen ground, and for a moment she thought the forest itself bowed to him. Aldrich, The beast looked at her. Recognition flickered in his eyes, even through the madness. Evelyn. His voice was a growl, yet still his. She took a step forward. The world seemed to tremble. You said I'd feel it. Now I do. He tried to move back. No, it's not safe. Her mark flared white hot, and she cried out, falling to her knees. The light exploded from her chest, connecting them through a web of burning air. He roared, the sound shaking the forest, but it wasn't anger. It was pain. And through the bond, she felt everything. The tearing agony of transformation, the centuries of hunger, the weight of guilt that had drowned him. She gasped through tears, whispering, "You've been alone so long." The beast lowered his head, trembling. "I deserve to be." Evelyn reached up, her hand touching his muzzle. His breath was fire against her palm, his eyes glowing like twin suns. "No one deserves forever," she said softly. "Not even you." The forest went utterly still. Then the air changed. The snow melted in a slow circle around them. From the shadows beyond the trees, hundreds of eyes opened, spirits of wolves, bound to the curse, their forms made of mist and bone. The leader, a towering phantom wolf crowned in shadow, stepped forward. Its voice echoed from everywhere at once. "The bond must complete." Aldrich snarled. "No, she's not part of this." The phantom tilted its head. "She is now? Blood remembers blood." The forest began to shake. The altar beneath the roots groaned as if awakening again. Evelyn clutched at her chest, the mark searing. Aldrich moved to shield her, his massive body encircling her completely. "Stay with me," he growled. She looked up, trembling, but her gaze was steady. "Always." The world erupted into red light. The bond surged, pain, love, hunger, and memory colliding into one. Evelyn screamed as the rune on her chest flared brighter than the moon. Aldrich roared as his form dissolved into light and shadow, wrapping around her in a cyclone of fur, flame, and sorrow. When it ended, there was silence. The spirits had vanished. The snow had turned white again. And in the center of the clearing, Evelyn knelt, trembling, her reflection in a pool of melted snow showing eyes that were no longer hers. They were gold, the beast's eyes. She looked up, feeling him within her, his voice faint but warm. "The curse has chosen. The forest remembers you now." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I remember you too," she whispered. The blood moon faded behind the clouds. Somewhere deep within the woods, something ancient sighed, not in anger this time, but in recognition. And the first snow of dawn began to fall, carrying the scent of fur, blood, and a love that would outlast death. Snow fell differently now. It no longer felt like cold against her skin, it felt like memory. Each flake that touched her burned faintly, whispering echoes of lives that had long since vanished beneath these woods. Wolves, witches, the lovers who tried to escape the forest's will and failed. Evelyn stood at the edge of the clearing, breath misting in the dawn light, her body still trembling from what had happened the night before. The mark on her chest no longer ached, it pulsed. Slowly, deliberately, like a second heart. Inside her, Aldrich's presence stirred. Faint, distant, but alive. "Evelyn." His voice was not a whisper in her ear. It was a thought that brushed against her own, warm and sorrowful. "You shouldn't have stayed." She closed her eyes, clutching the cloak around her shoulders. "You'd have died without me." A soft growl, half amusement, half despair. "Then maybe I should have. You've seen what I am." She smiled faintly. I've seen worse things in men. For a heartbeat, silence. Then, a deep exhale, the kind that rumbled through the earth itself. The wind picked up. Trees groaned. Somewhere far off, a wolf howled, and she shuddered. It wasn't just a sound. She felt it, vibrating in her chest, pulling at the new wildness that lived inside her now. She turned toward the forest path, the snow crunching beneath her boots. She didn't know where she was going, only that something deep beneath the roots was calling her name. By the time the sun sank behind the trees, Evelyn found herself standing before a forgotten ruin, a structure of cracked stone and crawling ivy, half swallowed by the earth. A dark archway led inside, breath of cold air spilling out like the sigh of something that hadn't breathed in centuries. Her pulse quickened. She took a hesitant step forward. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of old moss and burnt wood. Symbols were carved into the walls, circular, spiral, looping like vines. When she brushed her fingers against one, it glowed faintly red, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. Then a whisper, not a voice she could identify. Not Aldrich, something older. You carry his fire. But it was never his alone. Evelyn froze. Who's there? The whisper came from everywhere at once, from the roots that broke through the floor, from the cracks in the stone, from the air itself. The blood remembers. The curse began with her, the one who made the wolves her children. And now it ends with you. A shadow moved. Out of the darkness slithered something both human and not, a shape cloaked in bark and bone, face hidden by a veil of roots. Its body seemed woven from forest soil, branches twisting where veins should be. Eyes glowed faintly green beneath the shroud. Who are you? Evelyn whispered. I am what's left of her, it said, the voice neither male nor female. The one who first loved the beasts more than the gods. I gave them souls. I gave them hunger. But love. The figure's head tilted, roots creaking. Love was the curse. Evelyn's mark burned. You mean Aldrich? The creature smiled, if the slow curling of wood could be called that. Aldrich was my first creation, my last son. And you are the key he was meant to devour. Evelyn stepped back, trembling. No, I saved him. Did you? The roots in the floor began to move, curling toward her like serpents. You think his love spared you? His love is how it spreads. Her pulse raced. The mark on her chest throbbed violently. Aldrich's voice surged within her mind, panicked. Evelyn, run. The root struck. She moved, diving to the side as one snapped through the air, slamming into the wall behind her. The ancient ruin groaned. Dust fell from above. Another root wrapped around her ankle, pulling her down. She gasped, clawing at the ground, her fingers glowing faintly gold, light sparking beneath her nails. A snarl echoed through her, his snarl, and suddenly she wasn't entirely herself. Her eyes flashed golden. Her body moved with strength that wasn't human. She tore the roots apart with her bare hands, splinters slicing through her palms, but healing instantly. Her breath came heavy, half growl, half gasp. The creature of bark stepped closer. Good. The beast wakes within you. Soon, you'll replace him. No, she cried, staggering back. I won't become. You already are. The voice shifted, became hundreds of whispers layered over one another, echoing through the ruin. The roots twisted upward, forming faces, women, wolves, lovers, all screaming without sound. Evelyn covered her ears, but the sound wasn't in her ears, it was inside her. She saw flashes, Aldrich in chains beneath a red sky, a witch laughing as blood spilled across the altar, a forest consuming its own creator. Then, silence. She fell to her knees. The roots retreated. The figure was gone. Only the pulsing glow of the mark remained, bright enough to light the chamber. Aldrich's voice came again, strained. "Evelyn, you saw it, didn't you?" "Yes," she whispered, breath trembling. "The forest, the curse, the beginning. Then you know why I can't stay near you. The bond feeds the roots. The closer we are, the stronger it becomes." She rose slowly, tears freezing on her cheeks. "And if we separate, then it will choose one of us to live. You know which it will be." Her throat tightened. "I won't lose you." He was silent for a long time. Then, softly, "You already have." The connection dimmed. The mark stopped glowing. The forest outside had gone utterly still. Evelyn stumbled back into the cold night. The moon was half hidden behind storm clouds. The trees leaned close, whispering in 1,000 tongues she now understood. They weren't words. They were cravings. Hunger, blood, possession, love twisted by nature into something eternal. She clutched her chest and whispered to the darkness, "I won't be your vessel." But deep beneath her voice, another spoke, her own, yet not. "You already are." The forest shuddered. Snow fell in spirals, glowing faintly red in the moonlight. And as Evelyn walked away from the ruins, her shadow stretched unnaturally long, longer than any human should, and for a moment, it moved before she did. The storm came with no warning. It rolled over the forest like a living thing, thunder snarling through the trees, crimson lightning carving veins across the sky. The wind carried the scent of metal and decay, and in the distance, Evelyn could feel his presence again, a deep pull in her blood, ancient and magnetic. Aldrich was near. She stumbled through the snow, half delirious, the mark on her chest burning through the fabric of her cloak. Her breath came in ragged bursts, glowing faintly red in the frozen air. Each heartbeat throbbed like a drum, a pulse she could feel in the earth beneath her feet. The forest whispered again, not in voices now, in memories. Every branch, every gust of wind seemed to echo the same two words, "He's coming." When she finally saw him, she almost didn't recognize him. A shape emerged through the blizzard, vast, black-furred, a creature carved of night and rage. His shoulders were broad as stone pillars, his mane tangled with blood and frost. And yet, his eyes, those deep gold eyes, still carried the same unbearable sorrow. "Evelyn," he rumbled, voice torn between beast and man. She stepped forward, trembling. "You shouldn't have come." He lowered his head. Snow melted where his breath fell. "You called me." She hesitated, because it was true. The bond between them wasn't something she could control anymore. Her dreams called him. Her pain guided him back. She tried to bury the feeling, but love, or whatever it had become, was older than her will. He moved closer. The ground shook beneath his paws. The roots stir again. I felt them through the snow. They're feeding on your heart now. "I can stop it," she said, though the words trembled. "The witch who started this. I saw her, or what's left of her. She said the curse began with love. Maybe it can end with it too." Aldrich growled, not out of anger, but despair. "Love is the blade that carved the curse, not the cure." "Then what is?" He looked away, toward the storm-choked sky. "Sacrifice." They walked together through the ruins of the ancient shrine that had once belonged to the forest mother, the witch who made wolves her sons. The moonlight bled through the broken ceiling, turning everything to shades of red and silver. Evelyn could feel the roots pulsing beneath the floor, slow and steady, like a sleeping heart. She knelt beside one of the cracked stones. "This place remembers you." He laughed, softly, bitterly. "It remembers the monster I became. You weren't born a monster. No, I was made one by her, and now by you." She looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" His massive form shuddered. His claws dug into the ground as he fought the trembling that began in his chest. "Your blood binds to mine. The mark on your heart isn't a curse anymore. It's a seal. You've shared my soul, Evelyn. The forest no longer knows where I end and you begin." The air grew colder. Her fingers trembled as she touched her chest. The mark glowed faintly red, then blue, then red again. A flicker of both of them. "So what happens if we stay together?" He looked at her for a long moment, and his golden eyes softened, the way light softens before a storm. "Then the forest will wake, and the world will burn again." She smiled through tears. "You make it sound romantic." He almost smiled back. "Everything with you is." That night, they built a fire in the hollow of the temple. Snow fell through the broken roof in slow spirals. The flames flickered against his fur, painting his form in red and gold. She sat beside him, her cloak drawn close, though the warmth between them was more than enough. For a long time, they said nothing. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was heavy with everything they could never say aloud. Then she whispered, "You said sacrifice. What did you mean?" He looked into the fire, the reflection of flames burning in his eyes. "There's an old pact, the Crimson Pact, the first which made it when the gods turned from her. It binds love and blood together, one heart to keep the other alive. When one dies, the other burns." Evelyn's pulse quickened. "So the curse can only end if one of us." "Yes." His voice was low. "If one of us gives everything back." She stared at him. "Then it'll be me." He turned sharply, eyes blazing. "Don't you dare. You've suffered long enough." "So have you." He rose to his full height, towering over her, the fire casting monstrous shadows across the walls. "You don't understand what I am, Evelyn. If you die for me, the curse won't end. It'll feed. It wants love. It craves sacrifice. That's what she built it for." Her eyes shone with tears. "Then tell me what to do." He hesitated, then stepped closer, kneeling until his face was inches from hers. She could see every scar across his muzzle, every flicker of gold in his irises. "Don't love me," he said softly. "I already do." Something inside him broke. He let out a sound that wasn't human, a low, agonized growl that shivered through her bones. "Then I'll save you even if it kills me." Before she could respond, he pressed his forehead to hers. His breath came fast, warm, wild. She could feel his heart hammering beneath the fur, a rhythm that matched her own perfectly. The mark between them flared. A ring of crimson light spread outward, burning across the floor, etching runes into the stone. The forest outside howled. Snow lifted from the ground and spun around them in a circle of light and blood. She gasped. The pain was unbearable. Her chest felt as if it were tearing open, light spilling from her veins. "What are you doing?" she screamed. "Breaking the bond," he roared. "Before it takes you to." But even as he said it, she saw the truth. His body was fracturing, light bleeding from his chest like molten cracks through stone. "No." She clutched his fur, tears streaking her face. "You'll die. I was never meant to live," he whispered, his eyes fading to gold gray. "Only to guard the curse until someone loved me enough to end it." Lightning struck outside. The temple shook. The fire exploded outward, scattering embers like falling stars. Evelyn screamed, and the mark on her chest changed color. It turned deep crimson, then brilliant silver, then pure light. The roots that had slumbered beneath the forest for centuries shivered awake. They twisted upward through the ground, tearing stone apart, reaching toward the light. Aldrich's roar echoed through the storm, not of pain, but release. His body dissolved into mist, into fur, into starlight, leaving only his voice, faint and fading. Live. That's all the gods ever wanted. And then, silence. The storm stopped. The snow settled, and Evelyn collapsed beside the dying fire, alone. When she woke, dawn had come. The forest was quiet, too quiet. The mark on her chest was gone. She rose weakly, her hand brushing the ground where he had knelt. A faint outline of his paw remained burned into the stone, glowing red before fading forever. The forest sighed, a breath of relief or grief. She couldn't tell. Above her, the blood moon had turned pale again, not white, not gold, but the faintest shade of silver. Evelyn smiled through tears. You kept your promise. But as the wind carried her voice through the trees, something howled back, low, mournful, familiar. Far beyond the forest's edge, in the shadows of dawn, a lone wolf stood watching her. Its eyes gleamed faintly gold, the color of memory. She whispered into the wind, "You're free now." And somewhere, in the whispering roots beneath the snow, the forest finally slept. Snow fell for 7 days without pause. The forest no longer whispered, it groaned. The trees leaned toward one another as if grieving, their roots shifting beneath the ice. Somewhere far below, something ancient stirred, something that had slept since the night Aldrich's curse first bled into the soil. Evelyn had not left the ruins. She lived now among ashes and silence, her cloak torn, her body hollowed by the ritual that had nearly killed her. Sometimes she still felt his heartbeat, faint, buried deep in her chest, a ghost of warmth in a world of cold. At night, when the wind scraped through the temple's broken walls, she swore she heard him breathing. But he was gone, wasn't he? On the 8th night, she woke to the sound of footsteps. Soft at first, then heavy, deliberate, human. Her eyes snapped open. The fire had long since died. Only the faint blue light of the moon painted the room in ghostly silver. A shape stood at the threshold, tall, draped in black, her face hidden behind a cracked porcelain mask. "Who's there?" Evelyn whispered, her voice hoarse. The figure didn't answer. She stepped closer, and for a moment, the light caught the edge of her mask, and beneath it, the faint shimmer of eyes that burned faintly blue. "You should not have unbound him," the woman said, her voice soft but hollow, like wind through an empty shell. The forest was never meant to sleep. Evelyn rose slowly. "Who are you?" The woman smiled, or the mask did. "The first and last. The one who gave him his fangs and his heart." Evelyn froze. "The witch." "Once, yes." The witch tilted her head. "But he called me by another name." "Beloved." The words hit her like a blade. The witch walked closer, her steps soundless. The air turned cold enough to sting. "I burned for him." The witch continued, her voice trembling beneath its calm. "They hung me in the square, called me monster. And when the flames reached my heart, he swore vengeance. The gods heard and cursed him for his love." Evelyn's throat tightened. "He never stopped searching for you." The witch's eyes flickered with something unreadable, grief, envy, perhaps both. "He found me, long ago, but he could not bear what I had become." She reached out, and the air shimmered between them, frost forming midair, dancing like dust motes. You carry his heart now. You stole it from the ashes. And yet, I don't hate you for it. Evelyn's heart pounded. Then why are you here? The witch's gaze hardened. Because the curse isn't over. You think you freed him, but the forest doesn't give without taking. His body may be gone, but his soul remains bound to the roots. You feel it, don't you? Evelyn stepped back, her hand trembling over her chest. The faint pulse, that phantom warmth, flared again. He's still alive? In a manner of speaking. The witch's voice softened, almost kind. He sleeps beneath the heart tree, waiting for the moon to rise crimson again. When it does, he will wake, and hunger will wake with him. Evelyn shook her head. No, he wouldn't hurt anyone. The witch's smile turned sorrowful. He will not know you. The curse feeds on what you love most. It will make him forget. The ground trembled. Snow drifted from the ceiling. The witch looked toward the door. It begins. A sound rose through the forest, deep, thunderous, familiar. A howl. Not Aldrich's, but something worse. The witch's cloak whipped in the sudden wind. He's stirring, not as the man you knew, but as the beast the gods buried beneath the world. Evelyn's mind swirled. Then help me stop it. I cannot. The witch's voice cracked, almost human again. My soul is bound to the roots. I am the curse. Only you can break it. Evelyn's voice trembled. How? The witch's mask tilted, and for a moment, Evelyn thought she saw tears glint through the cracks. Find the heart tree. When the moon bleeds again, cut it open. Inside, you'll find what's left of him, his true form. But know this, child, love won't save him this time. Only memory will. Memory. Remind him who he was before the forest took him. The witch turned to leave, her cloak dissolving into mist. Wait, Evelyn cried. What happens to you? The witch paused in the doorway. When he remembers, I will finally burn. And then she was gone. By dawn, Evelyn was gone too. She followed the howl through the snow-choked valley, guided by the rhythm of her own heartbeat, a faint echo of Aldrich's. Her boots sank deep into the frozen ground, her cloak heavy with frost. The deeper she went, the less the world felt real. The forest around her shifted like a dream, trees bending, shadows twisting into shapes that whispered her name. At the edge of a frozen lake, she saw it, the heart tree. It towered over the clearing, black bark gleaming like obsidian, its roots spread across the ice like veins. In its center pulsed a faint red glow, slow, rhythmic, like breathing. Her breath caught. Aldrich. She approached, her fingers brushing the surface of the trunk. It was warm. For a moment, the glow brightened, and a voice, faint, broken, familiar, whispered inside her mind. Evelyn. Tears stung her eyes. I'm here. I found you. The heartbeat quickened. The red light pulsed faster. And then, cracks began to form in the bark. The ice trembled beneath her feet. Wind screamed through the trees. The moon above flickered red. He's waking. She pressed her palm against the tree. Remember me. The bark split open with a sound like thunder. Light burst outward, crimson, blinding. From within, a massive shape emerged. Fur, claws, eyes of molten gold. The ground shattered beneath him as he fell to his knees, snarling. Aldrich, but not the Aldrich she had known. This was something older, hungrier, the pure beast, the god-forged nightmare that once burned a kingdom to ash. He lifted his head, fangs bared, breath steaming. His eyes locked on her, but they didn't see her. Lucian, she whispered, his human name, the one he had buried centuries ago. For a second, a flicker, the beast hesitated. Then it roared. Evelyn stumbled back as the roots tore free from the earth, snaking toward her. The entire forest came alive, shadows screaming, trees bending inward. She fell to her knees, clutching the pendant. "Please, remember who you are." The wind howled. The beast reared back, claws carving trenches into the snow. And then a whisper broke through the chaos. A woman's voice. "Let him see." The witch's voice. The pendant in Evelyn's hand cracked open, light spilling out, and in that light, the past played like flame. The night of the burning pyre. The moment Aldrich held the witch as she turned to ash. The promise they made. The beast froze. His golden eyes widened. He looked at Evelyn, and for the first time, truly saw her. Not as prey, not as the witch reborn, but as the only heart that ever reached through the curse. He lowered his head, trembling. Evelyn stepped closer. Her fingers brushed his fur. "Come back." The red light around them dimmed. The roots sank slowly back into the snow. Aldrich's form began to fade, his massive body dissolving into glowing ash. But this time he smiled. "Evelyn," he whispered, "you remembered for me." And then he was gone, leaving behind nothing but snow and silence. The forest fell still. The curse was broken, but Evelyn knew the forest would never be empty again. The roots pulsed once, faintly, not with hunger this time, but with peace. And from far above, the wind died. The forest, that ancient, haunted cathedral of roots and whispers, stood utterly still. No rustle of leaves, no cry of a bird, no sound of breath. Only Evelyn's heartbeat, heavy and hollow, echoing in a silence that seemed to stretch across centuries. She sank to her knees, fingers clutching the cold snow where Aldrich's ashes had fallen. The warmth had vanished from the world, leaving behind a gray, unmoving twilight. It was over. The curse, the hunger, the beast, all gone. And yet, the world felt emptier for it. Aldrich's last words still lingered in the air, carried by a wind that no longer blew. "You remembered for me." Her hand trembled. "And now, what am I supposed to remember for myself?" The ground shifted beneath her, faintly, almost like a sigh. The forest exhaled. Snow swirled upward as if drawn by unseen hands, spiraling around her in a dance of frozen petals. From above, the moon began to change again. It bled. A crimson ring spread across its surface, dripping light into the clouds. The air cracked, lightning without thunder, and the color of the world began to twist. Evelyn looked up, dread clutching her heart. No, not again. But it wasn't the curse returning. It was the consequence. The witch of the hollow moon had warned her. The forest doesn't give without taking. She felt it now, something pulling at her chest, drawing out the faint golden glow that Aldrich had left behind. His essence, his heart, the bond that had tied them. Her breath caught. "No, please." The light tore free from her, spiraling upward into the storm of snow and blood-red moonlight. The ground beneath her cracked open, revealing roots, not black, but bone-white, glowing faintly with his memory. Then the sky shattered. It didn't explode, it broke, like glass under pressure. Shards of starlight fell like rain. The heavens above peeled back, revealing something vast and shimmering behind them, an ocean of silver mist, pulsing like a living thing. From within that rift, a voice called out. Not Aldrich's. The witch. Evelyn. Her name echoed across the sky, distant yet intimate, like a whisper in her own thoughts. She turned, And there, among the falling light, stood the witch of the hollow moon. But her porcelain mask was gone. Her face was human again, pale, scarred, beautiful in its ruin. "You freed him," she said softly. "You ended what I began." Evelyn's voice broke. "He's gone." The witch shook her head slowly. "No, he's home. The curse was never about punishment, child. It was about remembrance. The gods wanted him forgotten, but love doesn't forget." The words cut deeper than any blade. Evelyn looked up at the bleeding moon, the broken sky. "Then why am I still here?" "Because one soul cannot rest until the other does." The witch floated closer, her hair swirling like smoke. The world bent around her presence, snow, ash, light, all bowing to her gravity. "He sleeps in peace now, but you still carry the ache. And the ache is what keeps the forest alive." Evelyn's tears froze on her cheeks. "You mean I have to stay?" "Yes." "For how long?" The witch smiled faintly. "Until the world forgets your name. Until even love grows silent." The wind returned, slow at first, then heavy, dragging the snow into spirals that wrapped around Evelyn's form. Her cloak lifted, her hair caught in the tempest. "You said the forest takes," Evelyn whispered. "What does it want now?" The witch reached out, her hand passing through the air like smoke. "It wants balance." His soul went upward, to the stars, to the myth. Yours must root downward, to memory, to earth. That is how legends survive. The ground opened beneath Evelyn's feet. White roots slithered toward her ankles. Not cruelly, almost gently. They wound around her boots, her legs, her waist. She didn't fight. "If this is how I remember him," she whispered, closing her eyes, "then let the forest remember us both." The witch's face softened. For the first time, no envy, no malice. Only peace. "Then sleep well, little one." She lifted her hands, and as she did, her form began to dissolve, her body unraveling into silver dust. The crimson moon dimmed. The shattered sky mended. The last thing Evelyn saw before the darkness took her was Aldrich, standing across the clearing, his human form restored, his eyes gentle once more. He smiled, and she smiled back. Then the roots closed over her. When morning came, the forest was quiet again. The snow was gone. The trees were green, alive. Birds sang. The heart tree stood at the center, its bark pale and smooth, its roots pulsing faintly with light. If you looked closely, you could see two faint silhouettes etched into the bark, a man and a woman, standing hand in hand beneath a silver moon. The villagers who ventured close to the forest after that swore they could hear faint voices when the wind blew through the branches. Not cries, not screams, just whispers. A man's deep murmur, a woman's soft laughter. And on certain nights, when the moon turned red and the snow began to fall again, the villagers said they saw two figures walking among the trees, shadows without fear, forever bound in memory. The witch of the hollow moon was never seen again, but her legend endured, not as a curse, but as a story of love that refused to die, even when gods tried to erase it. Thus ended the tale of Aldrich the Cursed and Evelyn the Rememberer, a love written not in flesh, but in roots and stars. And whenever the forest blooms under the bleeding moon, the wind carries the same words again. You remembered for me. The forest no longer appeared on maps. Travelers spoke of a void in the northern snowlands where the wind refused to blow, where compasses spun in circles, and even the wolves howled from a distance. They called it the Hollow Sleep Wood. It was there that Adrian Vale, a weary scholar of forgotten curses, arrived one winter evening. His lantern flickered against the vast wall of ice-black trees, their branches like veins reaching across the sky. He had come searching for a sound, a voice he'd heard once, in a dream that never left him. The dream had whispered a name he didn't recognize: Evelyn. Adrian had spent years chasing echoes, from ruined monasteries to frozen catacombs, until his journey ended at this nameless forest, older than kingdoms, alive with silence. He paused at the tree-line, snow crunching softly beneath his boots. A raven circled overhead, its feathers dusted white. It croaked once, as if warning him. He lit another lantern and stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the frost within, the air changed. Sound vanished. No wind, no breath, not even the crackle of his own fire. Only heartbeat. He held his chest. The rhythm echoed louder inside his skull, steady and strange. The deeper he walked, the louder it grew, until he realized it wasn't his heartbeat. It was the forest's. Hours passed, or maybe moments. Time bled strangely in the sleepwood. The trees leaned inward, bending toward him like silent watchers. Their bark shimmered faintly in the lantern's light, not brown, but ivory. Adrian stopped. In the distance, through a veil of drifting snow, he saw it. A single tree larger than all others. Its roots glowed faintly blue, pulsing in rhythm with the heartbeat that filled the air. At its base was a hollow shaped like a door, and carved into the bark, almost human in its outline, were two faint figures, their hands joined, their faces blurred by age and frost. He knelt, brushing the snow away from the roots. His fingers trembled as he whispered, This is it. The lover's tomb. He'd read of it in fragments of banned folklore, a tale of a beast and a woman, punished by the gods for defying death itself. A legend no one believed anymore. But the air here believed. It hummed with memory. As he leaned closer, his lantern flickered. A breath passed through the clearing, not wind, but something ancient exhaling. The flame dimmed to blue. Then a whisper, You remembered for me. Adrian's body froze. His heart skipped, then echoed the same rhythm as the forest's pulse. Who's there? The whisper came again, closer this time, from within the roots. You came back at last. The ground trembled. The frost cracked beneath his hands. And then, from the hollow of the tree, light began to spill forth. Not warm light, but a pale blue that shimmered like water under moonlight. He stumbled back, shielding his eyes. From within the hollow, a woman stepped out. She was neither ghost nor living thing. Her form flickered, half light, half flesh. Long white hair flowed around her like mist, and her eyes burned with faint silver fire. Her voice was the same he'd heard in his dreams. Why did you come here, mortal? Adrian swallowed hard. Because you called me. The woman tilted her head, studying him with an expression both mournful and curious. No, I called no one. Then who did? Her gaze turned toward the heart tree. Him. For the first time, Adrian noticed something massive behind the roots, a shadow that hadn't moved until now. It shifted slightly, and snow cascaded from the branches. Two eyes opened in the dark, vast, golden, and full of sorrow. A beast, but not feral, not monstrous. There was intelligence there and exhaustion. Its fur shimmered with a faint blue glow, and scars marked its muzzle like ancient runes. Adrian stumbled back, breath catching in his throat. Alpha. The woman's voice was soft, reverent. He remembers. The wolf beast lowered its massive head, pressing its snout against the roots where the carvings lay. Its breath misted in the air, warm, gentle. Adrian dared to whisper, "What is he?" The woman turned to him, her eyes glistening. "He is what remains of love." Then, softly, "And what love cannot let die." The words carried the weight of centuries. The forest pulsed once, and snow fell like ash around them. Adrian's mind spun. This wasn't a story anymore. This was a wound in the world that had never healed. He took a step forward. "If he still lives, maybe I can help him. I know curses. I've studied the old magic." The woman smiled faintly. "Magic didn't make this. Memory did." Adrian hesitated. "Who are you?" The woman closed her eyes. "Once I was Evelyn. Now, I am only what he remembers of me." The name struck him like thunder. He'd read it in the ancient texts, the cursed bond, the forest that breathes her name. But that was centuries ago, she finished. "Yes, and yet we remain. The forest keeps us so long as someone remembers." Her eyes turned toward him, searching, testing. "Tell me, Adrian Vale, do you believe in love strong enough to outlast death?" He tried to speak, but his throat tightened. I don't know." She smiled sadly. "Then why do you dream of my voice?" Before he could answer, the forest trembled again. The heart tree cracked, a deep wound splitting through its trunk. Light poured out, flooding the clearing with spectral radiance. The beast roared, a sound of pain and longing mixed. Evelyn turned sharply toward it. "No, he's breaking free." Adrian shouted over the thunder. "What happens if he does?" Her answer was almost lost in the chaos. "If love awakens, the curse must awaken too." The ground split open. Frost shattered into shards of blue flame. Adrian grabbed her hand. "Then let me help you end it." Her eyes met his, and for an instant, he saw her human again. The warmth, the terror, the longing. The same emotion Aldrich had once carried. She squeezed his hand. "Then remember me, scholar. Remember me before the gods do." The light engulfed them both. When the silence returned, the forest was gone. The sleep wood had turned to glass. Every tree crystallized in frozen luminescence. In the center stood the heart tree, unbroken again, its carvings changed. 3 figures now, a man, a woman, and another, standing between them, lantern in hand. The villagers who later found the frozen forest never spoke of it aloud. But sometimes, in the stillness before dawn, the lanterns in the nearby towns would flicker blue, and a soft voice could be heard on the wind. "You remembered for me again." The wind died. The forest, that ancient, haunted cathedral of roots and whispers, stood utterly still. No rustle of leaves, no cry of a bird, no sound of breath. Only Evelyn's heartbeat, heavy and hollow, echoing in a silence that seemed to stretch across centuries. She sank to her knees, fingers clutching the cold snow where Aldrich's ashes had fallen. The warmth had vanished from the world, leaving behind a gray, unmoving twilight. It was over. The curse, the hunger, the beast, all gone. And yet, the world felt emptier for it. Aldrich's last words still lingered in the air, carried by a wind that no longer blew. "You remembered for me." Her hand trembled. "And now, what am I supposed to remember for myself?" The ground shifted beneath her, faintly, almost like a sigh. The forest exhaled. Snow swirled upward as if drawn by unseen hands, spiraling around her in a dance of frozen petals. From above, the moon began to change again. It bled. A crimson ring spread across its surface, dripping light into the clouds. The air cracked. lightning without thunder, and the color of the world began to twist. Evelyn looked up, dread clutching her heart. No, not again. But it wasn't the curse returning. It was the consequence. The Witch of the Hollow Moon had warned her. The forest doesn't give without taking. She felt it now, something pulling at her chest, drawing out the faint golden glow that Aldrich had left behind. His essence, his heart, the bond that had tied them. Her breath caught. No, please. The light tore free from her, spiraling upward into the storm of snow and blood-red moonlight. The ground beneath her cracked open, revealing roots, not black, but bone-white, glowing faintly with his memory. Then the sky shattered. It didn't explode, it broke, like glass under pressure. Shards of starlight fell like rain. The heavens above peeled back, revealing something vast and shimmering behind them, an ocean of silver mist, pulsing like a living thing. From within that rift, a voice called out. Not Aldrich's. The witch. Evelyn. Her name echoed across the sky, distant yet intimate, like a whisper in her own thoughts. She turned, and there, among the falling light, stood the Witch of the Hollow Moon. But her porcelain mask was gone. Her face was human again, pale, scarred, beautiful in its ruin. You freed him, she said softly. You ended what I began. Evelyn's voice broke. He's gone. The witch shook her head slowly. No, he's home. The curse was never about punishment, child. It was about remembrance. The gods wanted him forgotten, but love doesn't forget. The words cut deeper than any blade. Evelyn looked up at the bleeding moon, the broken sky. Then why am I still here? Because one soul cannot rest until the other does. The witch floated closer, her hair swirling like smoke. The world bent around her presence, snow, ash, light, all bowing to her gravity. He sleeps in peace now, but you still carry the ache. And the ache is what keeps the forest alive. Evelyn's tears froze on her cheeks. You mean I have to stay? Yes. For how long? The witch smiled faintly. Until the world forgets your name. Until even love grows silent. The wind returned, slow at first, then heavy, dragging the snow into spirals that wrapped around Evelyn's form. Her cloak lifted, her hair caught in the tempest. You said the forest takes, Evelyn whispered. What does it want now? The witch reached out, her hand passing through the air like smoke. It wants balance. His soul went upward, to the stars, to the myth. Yours must root downward, to memory, to earth. That is how legends survive. The ground opened beneath Evelyn's feet. White roots slithered toward her ankles. Not cruelly, almost gently. They wound around her boots, her legs, her waist. She didn't fight. If this is how I remember him, she whispered, closing her eyes. Then let the forest remember us both. The witch's face softened. For the first time, no envy, no malice. Only peace. Then sleep well, little one. She lifted her hands, and as she did, her form began to dissolve, her body unraveling into silver dust. The crimson moon dimmed. The shattered sky mended. The last thing Evelyn saw before the darkness took her was Aldrich, standing across the clearing, his human form restored, his eyes gentle once more. He smiled, and she smiled back. Then the roots closed over her. When morning came, the forest was quiet again. The snow was gone. The trees were green, alive. Birds sang. The heart tree stood at the center, its bark pale and smooth, its roots pulsing faintly with light. If you looked closely, you could see two faint silhouettes etched into the bark, a man and a woman, standing hand in hand beneath a silver moon. The villagers who ventured close to the forest after that swore they could hear faint voices when the wind blew through the branches. Not cries, not screams, just whispers. A man's deep murmur, a woman's soft laughter. And on certain nights, when the moon turned red and the snow began to fall again, the villagers said they saw two figures walking among the trees, shadows without fear, forever bound in memory. The Witch of the Hollow Moon was never seen again, but her legend endured, not as a curse, but as a story of love that refused to die, even when gods tried to erase it. Thus ended the tale of Aldrich the Cursed and Evelyn the Rememberer, a love written not in flesh, but in roots and stars. And whenever the forest blooms under the bleeding moon, the wind carries the same words again. You remembered for me. The forest no longer appeared on maps. Travelers spoke of a void in the northern snowlands where the wind refused to blow, where compasses spun in circles, and even the wolves howled from a distance. They called it the Hollow Sleep Wood. It was there that Adrian Vale, a weary scholar of forgotten curses, arrived one winter evening. His lantern flickered against the vast wall of ice-black trees, their branches like veins reaching across the sky. He had come searching for a sound, a voice he'd heard once, in a dream that never left him. The dream had whispered a name he didn't recognize. Evelyn. Adrian had spent years chasing echoes, from ruined monasteries to frozen catacombs, until his journey ended at this nameless forest, older than kingdoms, alive with silence. He paused at the tree-line, snow crunching softly beneath his boots. A raven circled overhead, its feathers dusted white. It croaked once, as if warning him. He lit another lantern and stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the frost within, the air changed. Sound vanished. No wind, no breath, not even the crackle of his own fire. Only heartbeat. He held his chest. The rhythm echoed louder inside his skull, steady and strange. The deeper he walked, the louder it grew, until he realized it wasn't his heartbeat. It was the forest's. Hours passed, or maybe moments. Time bled strangely in the sleepwood. The trees leaned inward, bending toward him like silent watchers. Their bark shimmered faintly in the lantern's light, not brown, but ivory. Adrian stopped. In the distance, through a veil of drifting snow, he saw it. A single tree larger than all others. Its roots glowed faintly blue, pulsing in rhythm with the heartbeat that filled the air. At its base was a hollow shaped like a door, and carved into the bark, almost human in its outline, were two faint figures, their hands joined, their faces blurred by age and frost. He knelt, brushing the snow away from the roots. His fingers trembled as he whispered, This is it. The lover's tomb. He'd read of it in fragments of banned folklore, a tale of a beast and a woman, punished by the gods for defying death itself. A legend no one believed anymore, but the air here believed. It hummed with memory. As he leaned closer, his lantern flickered. A breath passed through the clearing, not wind, but something ancient exhaling. The flame dimmed to blue. Then a whisper, You remembered for me. Adrian's body froze. His heart skipped, then echoed the same rhythm as the forest's pulse. Who's there? The whisper came again, closer this time, from within the roots. You came back at last. The ground trembled. The frost cracked beneath his hands. And then, from the hollow of the tree, light began to spill forth. Not warm light, but a pale blue that shimmered like water under moonlight. He stumbled back, shielding his eyes. From within the hollow, a woman stepped out. She was neither ghost nor living thing. Her form flickered, half light, half flesh. Long white hair flowed around her like mist, and her eyes burned with faint silver fire. Her voice was the same he'd heard in his dreams. "Why did you come here, mortal?" Adrian swallowed hard. "Because you called me." The woman tilted her head, studying him with an expression both mournful and curious. "No, I called no one." "Then who did?" Her gaze turned toward the heart tree. "Him." For the first time, Adrian noticed something massive behind the roots, a shadow that hadn't moved until now. It shifted slightly, and snow cascaded from the branches. Two eyes opened in the dark, vast, golden, and full of sorrow. A beast, but not feral, not monstrous. There was intelligence there and exhaustion. Its fur shimmered with a faint blue glow, and scars marked its muzzle like ancient runes. Adrian stumbled back, breath catching in his throat. "Alpha." The woman's voice was soft, reverent. "He remembers." The wolf beast lowered its massive head, pressing its snout against the roots where the carvings lay. Its breath misted in the air, warm, gentle. Adrian dared to whisper, "What is he?" The woman turned to him, her eyes glistening. "He is what remains of love." Then, softly, "And what love cannot let die." The words carried the weight of centuries. The forest pulsed once, and snow fell like ash around them. Adrian's mind spun. This wasn't a story anymore. This was a wound in the world that had never healed. He took a step forward. "If he still lives, maybe I can help him. I know curses. I've studied the old magic." The woman smiled faintly. "Magic didn't make this. Memory did." Adrian hesitated. "Who are you?" The woman closed her eyes. "Once I was Evelyn. Now, I am only what he remembers of me." The name struck him like thunder. He'd read it in the ancient texts, the cursed bond, the forest that breathes her name. But that was centuries ago, she finished. "Yes, and yet we remain. The forest keeps us so long as someone remembers." Her eyes turned toward him, searching, testing. "Tell me, Adrian Vale, do you believe in love strong enough to outlast death?" He tried to speak, but his throat tightened. I don't know." She smiled sadly. "Then why do you dream of my voice?" Before he could answer, the forest trembled again. The heart tree cracked, a deep wound splitting through its trunk. Light poured out, flooding the clearing with spectral radiance. The beast roared, a sound of pain and longing mixed. Evelyn turned sharply toward it. "No, he's breaking free." Adrian shouted over the thunder. "What happens if he does?" Her answer was almost lost in the chaos. "If love awakens, the curse must awaken too." The ground split open. Frost shattered into shards of blue flame. Adrian grabbed her hand. "Then let me help you end it." Her eyes met his, and for an instant, he saw her human again. The warmth, the terror, the longing. The same emotion Aldrich had once carried. She squeezed his hand. "Then remember me, scholar. Remember me before the gods do." The light engulfed them both. When the silence returned, the forest was gone. The sleepwood had turned to glass. Every tree crystallized in frozen luminescence. In the center stood the heart tree, unbroken again, its carvings changed. 3 figures now, a man, a woman, and another, standing between them, lantern in hand. The villagers who later found the frozen forest never spoke of it aloud. But sometimes, in the stillness before dawn, the lanterns in the nearby towns would flicker blue, and a soft voice could be heard on the wind. "You remembered for me again. Silence has its own shape, the kind that presses against your lungs until you forget what breath feels like. That was the first thing Adrian Vale realized when he awoke in the frozen realm. He lay beneath a sky that wasn't sky at all, but solid glass, fractured light glinting through veins of red and blue. Snow floated upward instead of down, and every heartbeat echoed like thunder trapped under ice. He rose unsteadily, the lantern still clutched in his hand. It burned blue now, no flame, no oil, just light. Its glow pulsed softly, the same rhythm he had heard in the forest. That same heartbeat. He looked around. The trees of the sleep wood stood like pillars of crystal, their bark transparent, revealing inside them the frozen veins of silver roots. He took a step, his boots crunching against the frost. Every sound rang sharp, like glass breaking. And then, far away, a howl. Not of hunger, not of rage, but of mourning. Adrian turned. The sound came from beyond the shimmering horizon, a mountain of glass that cut through the clouds like a dagger. And above it, the blood moon still hung, crimson light bleeding across the world, painting the ice in shades of sorrow. He began to walk. The journey felt endless, yet no time passed. His reflection followed him through the mirrored trees, sometimes walking beside him, sometimes ahead, sometimes staring back with unfamiliar eyes. The closer he drew to the mountain, the louder the heartbeat grew. And then he saw it, carved into the side of the glacier, an enormous door shaped from solid moonlight. The lantern flickered violently in his hand. He raised it, and symbols began to appear across the ice, runes, ancient and burning red. He couldn't read them, but he felt their meaning crawl beneath his skin. One life to remember, one soul to suffer, one howl to echo forever. The words etched themselves into his heart. The door opened. Inside, the air was thick and heavy, pulsing like the inside of a living thing. Shadows moved along the walls, echoes of wolves and humans interwoven. And in the center stood the beast, Lucian, the Alpha, unchanged by centuries. His form was vast and radiant, fur glowing faintly blue beneath streaks of blood-red light. His golden eyes fixed upon Adrian with weary recognition. "You?" Adrian whispered. "You've been waiting." The creature's voice filled the chamber, not a sound, but a vibration that shook through Adrian's bones. The forest remembers, but it cannot dream without a heart. Adrian took a step forward. "Evelyn, where is she?" The Alpha lowered its head slowly. Beneath its paws lay a pool of frozen water, and within that glassy depth, Evelyn's reflection. Still, peaceful, eternal. Adrian's chest tightened. No, she can't be gone. The wolf's gaze softened. She sleeps within memory, as I do, but memory decays. It must be renewed. Adrian gripped the lantern, realization dawning like fire. "That's why I was brought here." "Yes," came the rumbling reply. "Each century, one remembers, so the curse may rest. You came because your heart was open to the whisper." Adrian trembled. "And if I refuse?" The wolf's eyes gleamed gold, reflecting the blood moon. "Then all will fade. The forest, the story, even her." He looked again at the pool where Evelyn's image lay, serene, like a saint in ice. The faintest light shimmered beneath her closed eyelids, as though she dreamed still. He knelt beside it. "You loved her even after death." The Alpha tilted its massive head. "I was her death, and her love. The two cannot be divided." The words sank deep into him, stirring something human and painful. He had read of curses, of ancient bargains, of gods who punish and forgive in the same breath. But this was neither punishment nor mercy. This was remembrance. He looked down at the lantern again. Its blue light pulsed faster, heartbeat upon heartbeat. "What happens if I take her place?" he asked. The air stilled. Even the light froze for a moment. The beast's reply came like thunder. "Then you will remember for her. You will bear her name, her sorrow, her dream. And in another age, someone will remember you." Adrian swallowed hard. "And you?" "I will howl until the world forgets me." He smiled weakly. "Then I guess you'll never stop." A sound like laughter, low, mournful, echoed through the chamber. The wolf bowed its head. "So be it." The lantern flared white. The ground cracked open beneath Adrian's feet. Blue fire rushed up around him, swallowing his breath, his sight, his fear. He fell through light, through centuries, through memory. He saw flashes of Evelyn, of the witch, of snow turning red, of wolves running through storms, of hands entwined beneath the moon. He saw love, violent, impossible, endless. And when he hit the ground again, he was not in the frozen realm anymore. He stood in a forest bathed in dawn. The snow was melting. Birds sang. The heart tree stood tall and alive again, its roots dark and wet with new earth. In his hands, the lantern burned softly, not blue now, but golden. He breathed, and for the first time in what felt like lifetimes, it didn't hurt. Behind him, a howl broke through the morning light. He turned. On a hill, a massive shadow stood, fur dark as midnight, eyes glinting gold. It was watching him. Adrian smiled faintly, a tear freezing against his cheek. "Goodbye, my friend." The wolf raised its head and howled once more. The sound rolled across the forest, echoing through valleys and mountains, a sound not of grief, but of eternity. Then it vanished into mist. Years later, travelers who passed through the reborn woods would sometimes find strange things, paw prints beside footprints that froze even in summer, a lantern burning where no one had walked. They called it the Forest of the Endless Howl. Some said it was haunted, others said it was holy. But on nights when the moon burned red, those who dared to stay would swear they heard it. Two voices, one human, one wolf, rising together through the trees in harmony. And if you listened closely, you could almost hear the words, "Remember me, and I will remember you."